The economic freedom fighters are pushing for a significant change in South Africa's electoral system. The EFF has formally written to the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honourable Thoko Didiza, requesting to facilitate the drafting of the final text of the Electoral Amendment Bill. This private member's bill, which will be submitted in the name of the party's president, Julius Malema, aims to amend the Electoral Act of 1998. If passed, the amendment would provide for the automatic registration of all South African citizens on the national voters' roll upon reaching the age of 16. The bill also proposes that the Independent Electoral Commission be responsible for notifying newly registered citizens and ensuring they confirm or update their place of residence before casting their first vote. The EFF says the move is intended to modernize and streamline the voter registration process while promoting broader participation in South Africa's democratic processes. For more developments on this proposed legislation as it moves through Parliament, we're joined by EFF MP Mohlala. Rebecca, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us. Perhaps to start the conversation here, the integrity of the voters' roll matters tremendously, because if the integrity of the voters' roll is contaminated and or undermined, our entire democratic process is in turn undermined, and we cannot then trust that the outcome of an election is free and fair if we don't safeguard the integrity of the voters' roll. And so how people are added and or removed from the voters' roll is crucially important. The EFF wants a very big shift there for people, citizens, to be added automatically to the voters' roll when they turn 16. Are you not perhaps as a party worried that this might temporarily, in the long term I can see solutions for it, but in the short term, temporarily contaminate and compromise South Africa's voter roll?
No, thanks so much, Mr. Oliver Dixon. Let me take this opportunity and greet you and the viewers of SABC. As the economic freedom fighters were wrote to the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honourable Didiza, on the 9th of September 2025, to facilitate the drafting of the final text of Electoral Amendment Bill. This bill will be tabled as a private member's bill in the name of the President and the Commander-in-Chief, Comrade Julius Sello Malema. The bill seeks to amend the Electoral Act to protect and strengthen the will of the people in our democracy. So our bill says the moment you turn 16, you must automatically be placed on the voters' roll using the National Population Register regulated by the Department of Home Affairs. This way, by the time when you turn 18 years, you are already ready to vote. No more long queues, no more confusion, and no more excuses. I don't know how does that thing of the integrity of the voters' roll comes when we are introducing something that will assist the poorest masses of the people in South Africa.
Well, let me then go into some of the detail there, Rebecca.
To have accessibility to vote, because at the moment, majority of the people are not voting. During the election.
Rebecca, let me just pause you there, because I think you make an important point, and I don't want us to lose the point that you're making, and I want us to zoom in on it. And this is where it becomes important mechanistically. You're asking, or at least the thinking of the EFF, is that people will be added to the voters' roll automatically when they turn 16 using the National Population Registry. And while I can understand why that makes logical sense, and it does make logical sense that you transfer from the one to the other, it must be noted that the National Population Registry itself is an imperfect registry. Very specifically, it has been the subject of litigation, quite extensive litigation over the last 2 years, with people saying that they've erroneously been removed from the national voters, from the National Population Registry. And importantly here is that Home Affairs itself needs to fix a great deal of that infrastructure and system for us to truly trust the National Population Registry. If we have a voters' roll depending on the National Populations Registry, we might then end up with a severely imperfect national voters' roll. That's the worry that I'm presenting here. Could you respond to that?
With a total, I think, of 50-something million people in South Africa under that population register. So if you are saying there is dispute on that population register, that is not a problem. We are not saying that the only people that will be taken care of. Is the only people that are on the national register. But what we are trying to do, we are trying to cap the problem that is existing in South Africa. People are not registered to vote. Majority of them, the youngsters in South Africa, 13.5 million eligible citizens who are youngsters in South Africa, they are not registered to vote. So we think that that system, to use the national population register, it to assist us. So we are not denying the fact that that national population register doesn't have problems. It has problems. With this government, everything has problems. We know very well that the government have collapsed in all the departments.
Yeah.
So it's not something new that you are telling us that there's a problem. There's a problem. We know that in Mpumalanga, people have been blocked to get IDs. So this is the issue that we can deal with when we are actually implementing this primary core, this primary mandate of ensuring that the will of the people is adhered to. The democracy in this country is being dealt with. Because at the moment we are facing a crisis of democracy, and this is dangerous. And if we don't deal with it, we'll end up having to face a revolt, instability, and at the end that can lead to coup d'etat.
Yeah, but again, and importantly here, Rebecca, is that you concede that there are major issues with the National Population Registry. Why then import those problems onto the National Voters Roll?
I don't think so. We are saying the National Population Register have people that are existing. No matter the problems it is facing, but there are people that are existing, which we know they are not registered to vote. So we are saying let's use this National Population Register to ensure that we facilitate the process of drafting, facilitate the process of ensuring that people of South Africa are now being accessible, now being able to access are part of the voters' roll. Beside all that other issues that we are mentioning, yes, we agree with you, but it's those things cannot stop us for ensuring that democracy happens in South Africa and people have access to voting.
Yeah, at the last count, there are about 14 million adult South African citizens who are eligible to vote but who did not register to vote and ultimately are considered unparticipating South African citizens. Simply adding them to the voters' roll won't necessarily make them more proactive in our democracy. How do we bridge that gap between somebody actually being registered, whether by default or they actually took the initiative to register, and them actually actively participating in the electoral process? Because this legislative amendment doesn't solve necessarily the participation and the collective action crisis.
You know that, Dixon, that is the matter of voters' education. If you are not educating the people of South Africa that to vote is very important, to vote is actually the issue of getting power, actually to open up a lot of things that will benefit the entire society. We are talking about the issue of land, the issue of water, the issue of dignity, the issue of free education. All depends of us voting. The IEC is not educating or empowering our people of what is the importance of voting. But that is because that the IEC cannot defend democracy if they get staff of resources. As the government, we must give IEC resources so that they can be able to run education programs in schools, in villages, in townships, and in farms, and in communities where information doesn't flow easily, to ensure that people understand the importance of voting. We agree with you. So many people register and they don't go to the voting station on the voting day. It's precisely because of that. Let's invest more on empowering our people so that they can understand the importance of voting. Others are protesting because the ANC has been not delivering services to the people for a longer period, and they don't have an understanding that you don't do that to punish the ANC. You must wake up in the morning, go to the voting station and vote.
Yeah. Rebecca, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate you coming on. Rebecca Mohlala is a member of Parliament for the Economic Freedom Fighters, talking to us about that proposal that the EFF has written to the Speaker about on the amendment to the Electoral Act.